County Board of Supervisors meeting, as we're meeting on the second floor, third floor, meeting room 2, on this Tuesday, March 10th, 2015, with all 3 members present. If you now please rise and join me with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just kind of a notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate, and a roll call vote will follow. First item on our agenda is the approval or amendment of the agenda that has been presented.
I motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
I second it.
And a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Grabenbauer.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 2, years of service recognition. And the first one comes out of the county attorney's office. He's been with us now for 5 years. That's Ben Stansberry. And the second, 25-year veteran out of the engineer's office, Dan McNary. And I know he's always one of those guys you see running around in the old brown truck, I think it is, and taking care of things in the engineer's office. Congratulations to Ben and to Dan for the years of service with Marshall County. Moving on to the consent agenda. The next first item, the approval of the minutes from regular session of February 24, 2015. The next one, the annual manure management plan update with JT Farms West Site, ID number 63207. This is an annual update report received and placed on file with no changes made to the manure management plan. The next item is an annual manure management plan update. Prestige Farms of Iowa, LLC, ID number 67105, PI-349, finisher. Manure management plan update received and placed on file. The following changes have been made to the manure management plan. Acres added, change in the optimum yields, and updated P-index values. Next item is item number 6, the file clerk of District Court report from February 15th. This is general supplemental fund 10% surcharge for a total of $856.16. And item number 7, the approval of the claims as audited and authorized the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of same. The listing of claims paid at this meeting will be included with all claims paid for the month of March. The March list of claims will be part of the first meeting in April. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as printed.
I will second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Grabenbauer.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 8. We've got a personnel action item. This is a change of status for Rob Crandon, secondary roads, full-time change status from mechanic 2 to mechanic 3. Change rate of pay from $23.62 an hour to $23.78 an hour, effective today, March 10th, 2015. I'd entertain a motion.
I motion that we approve this personnel action.
I second it.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just want to make a comment. This action is pursuant to the union contract.
All right. Roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Grabenbauer.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 9, custom rebate incentive for Marshall County Courthouse, Interstate Power and Light Company, rebate for the courthouse west side HVAC energy efficient project. And the reason we have this on here, we're just allowing the public to know that because of the installation of the new HVAC system on the west side, which now completes all of our HVAC systems from the east and the west, we will get an estimated custom rebate amount back from Alliant Energy for the total of $10,300. So this is just kind of let the public know that it has been a project we've talked about for on our 5-year plan 5 years ago. It's completed now, and a rebate comes back for $10,300.
It's great. This is the final part in our project of the The HVAC, we've also finished up on the replacement of the doors and the windows, so all of these have been energy conservation savings, and it's made quite a difference in 5 years.
You know, just the 7 years that I've been here, you know, we replaced doors, windows, air conditioning system, and we're really making it'd be interesting to see eventually what actually we are saving versus what we were paying 7 years ago when we started all this.
And we've also done the vast majority of it without borrowing money.
Yep, doing a good job. All right, moving on to item number 10. This is Marshall County Sheriff's Office and Courthouse Design Services. Discussion and possible action to accept a bid proposal from BMC Solutions, PLLC, or for professional design services for tuck pointing project at the Marshall County Sheriff's Office and right here in the courthouse. So I would entertain a motion.
I would move to award the bid proposal from BMC Solutions, PLLC, for professional design services for tuck pointing project at the Marshall County Sheriff's Office and Courthouse in the amount of $26,800.
We got a motion. Need a second?
I will second that.
And a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I think one thing about tuck pointing is it seems like a lot of money, but boy, if we don't keep up with the tuck pointing, the building will just start falling apart.
Well, yeah, we've taken a tour of the jail and seen where the bricks are coming apart and worked it. There again, as we always say, you know, we've got a very, very good building, but maintenance, you gotta stay on top of the maintenance programs and what's the jail, 15 years of age now, so there's just some little things that need to be done. Same way with the courthouse, you can go around the courthouse and see where different things have to be done, and
Sure.
and we feel it's just time as part of our plan to address that. That's where we're at.
Yep, the structures that we're doing at the jail are from the portion that was actually the old county home portion. There's a lot of bricks that are falling off and spalling, and we just gotta get her put back together.
Okay. Any public discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes,
Gravenbauer.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 11, the lease for the Clownberg Prairie Rivers Crop Ground. The Marshall County Conservation Board accepted sealed bids at their meeting last night for the lease, cash lease of crop ground at the Clownberg Prairie Reserve, located approximately 3 miles south and 1 mile west of Van Cleve in south central Marshall County. Bid will include cash price for 119.5 acres of the crop ground and for 2 acres of food plot ground. So I'm going to bring Mike Stegman up here with, coming off his Conservation Board meeting last night, and make sure that mic's on, Mike. Or Mike. Oh.
I don't think it is.
Make sure.
Just like to switch up toward you there. Another switch.
Dude, we got a professional mic turner on.
Correct. Last night's Conservation Board meeting, we accepted sealed bids as well as accepted bids from the floor for the crop ground at the Clownberg Prairie Preserve. We did have 4 bidders. High bid came from CNC Farms, Chris and Corey Damon, $216 an acre for the 119.15 acres of crop ground. And then 2 additional acres bid in at 10%, which is $21.60 for those acres. So the total amount came in at $25,779.60.
Now, this is, just to explain this, 'cause we get this farmland ground confused with the county farm quite often.
Right.
And this has not really been up for bid.
This is the first time we had this crop ground up for bid. And it's a project that has just become active for our management. Previous crop ground under our management has come from the Marietta Sand Prairie. That actually is in its last year. 2015 will be its last growing season, and then those remaining acres will be seeded down to native vegetation per the requirements of grants that we sought for initial acquisition of that ground. The Clownberg Prairie Preserve was gifted to Marshall County in 1984 under the condition that Gene Hillman could farm it until he decides to retire, which is the case this year. subsequently came over to our management. And again, portions of that will be, per the request of Bernard Clownberg, will be converted back to native vegetation.
After how long?
Immediately, portion of the farm, it's a 240-acre farm. It's pretty much split right down the middle, 120 row crop, 120 pasture. We're going to begin restoration efforts on the pasture ground right now. It begins immediately. And then really what we're doing with the 2-year lease here is buying ourselves a little time from a time standpoint for converting some of the crop acres over to native vegetation. And I'm anticipating we'll have an extension on this, but it will be modified to reduce some of the acres. We'll round off some of the corners and steep slopes of the current crop ground, return that to native vegetation.
So we're going to hold on to this contract for 2 years?
Correct.
And after that,
And then we'll readdress it then.
Now, does this crop money go to the Conservation Board?
This money is obligated to come back to the Conservation Board for use for natural lands management. This won't be used for things like a shelter house, trails, roadways, rocks, staffing, anything like that. It will be turned right back into natural lands management, which could include shoreline armoring for a body of water, a Greencastle or Sand Lake, for example. It could go into timber stand improvement work on another forested area we've got, or management from other prairie areas that we've got. So no, it's obligated to go right back into natural lands management.
And that was the point I wanted to make, that it does not come in back into the county's general budget. It stays with the conservation, and their usage of it works with it. So, any other questions for Mike?
That's always a real good portion to bring up, is a vast majority of Mike's budget. Even though he budgets for things, unless he gets a grant or income from this that does not derive from property tax dollars, he can't spend it. So the majority of what the Conservation Department does is not on the backs of the property taxpayer. It's off of grants and other items like this.
You bring that up, I'll, if I can, bring up another point just of interest at this time. We're working on a playscape, natural playscape, which is a playground consistent of as much natural material as we can use for that out at the Grimes farm. We've got a target fundraising goal of $60,000. We just started that in January, and we're sitting at about $25,000 right now. And I anticipate that's going to get wrapped up here probably before summer.
Good. All right. Hearing nothing else, I would entertain a motion on this item.
I would move that we award the bid from the C&C Farms, Chris and Corey Damon, to the amount of $25,779.60 for a 2-year lease, effective April 1, 2015 through February 28, 2017.
I will second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Gravenbauer.
Yes. Motion carried. Thanks, Mike, and thank your board and for all the good work on that. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 12. This is resolution number 2015-0016, Skilled Iowa Initiative, National Career Readiness Certificate. And this agreement is to support the National Career Readiness Conference, the NCRC, as a means to document an individual's essential work-related skills. We had a presentation at our last meeting on this, and I would entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 2015-0016 concerning the Skilled Iowa Community National Career Readiness Certificate.
I second it.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Gravenbauer.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. All right, moving on to item number 13 from Clapp Settle Garber Associates, an agreement. This is a discussion and possible action to cover a contract between Marshall County, Iowa and Clapp Settle Garber Associates Incorporated to provide inspection services. Pursuant to Iowa Code 479, the county is required to provide inspection services on pipeline construction within Marshall County. And Matt, do you want to say anything, or Paul? You timed it just right, by the way. Were you sitting outside waiting, or?
Yeah, watching.
Oh, yeah.
This is our
consulting agreement with Clapsaddle Garber, and it really covers, it's for the upcoming pipeline project that Alliant is putting in up from the far northeast corner of the county, coming down, I think, 13.3 miles to serve the new power plant. This agreement is something that is providing a county inspector that we are bound to provide an inspector. Now, we could provide that with county personnel, but we don't really have a person with experience and the qualifications of performing that inspection, and it's something that Clapsaddle Garber has done quite a bit of. So I thought they were the choice as far as getting services and people that have experience with it. Their biggest function is to verify that the agreements that are with the landowners that the pipeline is going through, that those agreements, the terms of it are met, and the things that are there, that, you know, for instance, the tile lines that are going to be cut and crossed, and that they're repaired, and that verifies that the terms of their agreements are actually met. And I wouldn't be as qualified to know, you know, that everything that they have on their paper agreement with the landowner, between the landowner and Alliant, is satisfied. I'll open it up to Matt if he has anything to add on that, or.
Well, I guess I'll just ask the question, what is the cost of the services? Does the county pay that?
This cost is initially paid by the county, but then it is reimbursed by Alliant, and ultimately reimbursed by the contractor KBR.
I see. Okay.
So it should be a net zero to Marshall County.
Okay.
Microphone?
Yeah, you gotta use the mic, Mike.
All right. Yeah, we just did one of these very similar last fall in Story County, and it was about 12 miles. They're on the east side of Ames, kind of following the interstate north and south. And there were 634 tile line crossings that we had to document. We, you know, just kind of take a picture of and do a little sketch to identify exactly what was done, and generally the materials and location of those things tied into the pipeline alignment profile. So those are some examples. It's just some of the documents, the primary documents that we would be putting together. GPS coordinates on each of those tile lines, so that if there is an issue in the future, we can go back to the exact same spot. I mean, there's nothing too technical about it. It's just, you know, very detailed. You have to be there. Basically, the Iowa Utility Board has a pretty good manual on what is required. Basically, you need to be up front with the trencher to identify where as you can see where the tiles are being hit, flagging them, and then making sure you get back to all of them afterwards, after they backfill the trench, and the tile repair crew comes back in. It depends on their work schedule. We've had times last fall where it was a nice stretch of good weather. Our technician that was on site, she worked basically 3 weeks straight, 7 days a week. She was confused on which day it was, but so that, I mean, that's the biggest thing with these. It's very labor intensive, and you know, we had a couple of people available if she needed to, you know, to be able to swap people out. And then also like Paul said, the topsoiling agreements, we would need to be tracking those down here fairly soon because yeah, I've heard of at least one property owner that's very specific and detailed about how he wants the soil to be separated on his stretch. So we would need to make sure we're understanding what they are wanting, and then making sure that happens on that property.
I see the crew is getting set and getting ready out there on East Main Street.
Yep.
with everything. Now, will weather be a deterrent? I mean, without as soft as it is now, they won't dare go out when it's like this, will they?
I wouldn't put
it past them.
They have us. Our surveyors are working for KBR right now, staking out the alignment and the right of way. And we were told they're wanting to be starting April 1, which is kind of the historic start of construction season. We'll see and with all the stuff they got in the pipeline and all I could see that happening. And last fall, again, an example was they'd get a rain event. You know, you couldn't drive a pickup out there to the middle of the section on the pipeline route, but the welders would just hop on a skid and they would pull it out there on the bulldozer and continue working. If it's not physically raining at the time, they'll keep plugging away.
Keep going.
The vast majority of these should be below the depth of the pipeline, so there shouldn't be too much damage, is there?
I would say the pipeline's probably below the majority of the tile.
Right.
So we'd be cutting through all of them and then
Okay.
having to come back and repair them. And, they should be able to provide us a document as far as what their planned repair is. Usually, you go all the way down to they'll trench it out, and we'll probably flag or somehow identify the ends of the tiles. They'll lay their pipe in, backfill, and then the tile repair crew would come in after the fact, open that up. And they would really need to dig all the way down to the bottom. And then, we've seen them in the past use sandbags to go underneath the tile all the way up to the bottom of the tile. That way, it's not sitting on that fresh soil that was disturbed in the trench and potential for settlement. They use approaches like that to minimize that sag over time,
Almost like putting in a footing.
basically. Yeah.
What happens when they have to replace the trench or the tiling? How are they gonna do that without disrupting the pipeline?
Well, on that project, they used basically a casing, a CMP, and then they ran the actual tile
I see.
inside that. So when the farmer needs to go in and do that again, they'll have to call locates, and the pipeline will probably send somebody there since they're that close. But they should be able to just find that CMP casing
I
pipe and run a new tile line right through there.
And then is that the casing a PCB type pipe?
That one was a corrugated metal pipe.
Really? So they run that through first, and they thread the pipeline through it.
Or
The tile.
The tile through it.
the tile, yep. So, and, we'll kind of keep track of things like seeding and fence repair
Sure.
and that sort of stuff
Sure.
at the end of the restoration project. So,
It's a big job for you, because you're gonna solve a lot of public relations problems for the rest of us.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Living within a half
Hopefully, yeah.
mile and a mile of its crossing.
Yep.
A lot of neighbors that, I know, so.
Yeah. Well, settlement of the tile lines is a problem.
Yep.
Tile is gravity fed, and if there's obviously, settlement is a problem.
And typically these agreements are, even if something is missed, through the construction project and the farmer has next year, find a wet spot. The agreements are such that usually the utility needs to come back and fix that.
Will they come back like for 3 years or something? Is there?
It all depends on what those right-of-way easement agreements
Okay.
read, and that's one thing that, that's one of the first things we need to do is track down how those are read.
Because Mother Nature doesn't always show up its fury for the first year. It may be a year or two before it.
Right, correct. And even by doing this, it's not, there's no guarantee that we're not gonna miss something.
Yeah.
We'll be watching the walls of the trench, but sometimes as you're trenching, the tile gets compressed and you can't see it in that wall. So it's just, set of eyes to do what we can out there, so.
Any other comment, Harold? Look like you're,
Yeah, I guess my first was about the cost, but you're saying it gets reimbursed for that.
Alliant pays
Do
it
you
all.
have to pay them on a weekly basis, or how does that work? The county's gonna be out some money until the project is finished. How does that work?
We'll submit invoices monthly.
And I talked to a representative from Alliant, and he said that progress payments would be okay with him too, so I can even submit them as we go. It wouldn't be a problem for us to just hold it and submit one invoice at the end of the project. It's gonna be a fairly, hopefully not a summer-long project, it's gonna be a spring project.
And I guess my other question is, if there's kind of a dispute or between the landowner and the pipeline, are you the mediator, so to speak, to get that resolved and without the landowner having to hire an attorney to represent him and so forth? Are you gonna be basically their spokesperson?
Yep, we would be definitely one resource, you know, since they set it up this way, that the county is actually providing the service, so I guess I view it, we're kind of the eyes and ears for the county and the residents along the project, and, you know, the kind of the funnel to, if there's an issue from the county side, or the farmers, will know the chains to follow up on it. I mean, I think there'll also be, the real estate, the right-of-way agent that went through and negotiated all those easements with the property owner, they will also be a resource, but, so, there's actually, you know, a couple ways, but we definitely would be available to, and we'll have somebody there on site, that'll probably be like an ATV or a ranger that we'll have, and phone numbers are out there, and they can definitely approach us.
Because it was my understanding, it was pretty much my understanding that it was better than 99+% was an agreement. No, I mean, all the problems had been addressed and talked about, and everybody pretty well accepted it.
I know a lot of guys up in that area, and their tile lines are their babies, and you mess with their tile lines, and you know, so that's my only concern. I don't know when the property is going to affect, but, you know, I just have a concern that they are going to be taken care of properly.
They would be definitely welcome to contact us to resolve issues as they come up, or if they see something they're concerned with.
And hopefully with them out there, the issues get resolved before they become issues.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they will. I mean, you guys, this isn't your first time doing something like this, so you know kind of what to look for and what to expect. Okay, all right. Thanks, guys.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on that, I would entertain a motion.
I motion that we approve the agreement between Marshall County, Iowa, and Clapsaddle and Garber Associates Incorporated to provide inspection services during the Alliant Energy Pipeline project. The cost to the county will be reimbursed at the conclusion of the project.
I second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Gravenbauer.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 14, Teamsters Local Number 238 Memorandum of Understanding. Discussion and possible action to approve a memorandum of understanding regarding vacation conversion between Marshall County, Iowa, and Teamsters Local Number 238. I would entertain a motion on this item.
I would motion that we adopt the memorandum of understanding regarding vacation conversion between Marshall County, Iowa, and Teamsters Local 238.
I'd second this.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is a memorandum of understanding between the two entities. It came about, it was approved by the representative from the Teamsters being John Thomas, and the representative of our county being Michael Galloway. Everything's been taken care of with a level of understanding on the side. And it's pretty much good with both parties and advantageous to all.
All right. Hearing no more discussion, roll call, please.
Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Gravenbauer.
Yes. Moving on to item number 15, Teamsters Local 238 grievance. Discussion and possible action regarding agreements with shift bidding filed by Teamsters Local Number 238.
I would move to deny the grievance regarding shift bidding filed by Teamsters Local Number 238.
We got a motion?
I will second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Once again, this was in part of the entire process we went through with the agreements and the letter of understanding. It's agreed to by both parties, and pretty much says it all.
Pretty much says it all. All right. Roll call, please.
Sure. Thompson.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Gravenbauer.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 16, to public forum. This is time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum. It's wide open. And don't all, please do not all charge the microphone at once. Just,
Take your number.
gee whiz, even Jared ain't seen anything.
Harold, you're here?
Well, the only thing, I don't have anything official, but could you pass a resolution perhaps that red trucks are not allowed on the county and city roads or something?
All right, we'll move on to item number 17. This would be the adjournment. The next regular session is March 24th, 2015 at 9 a.m. All business to be acted upon on that session should be submitted to the county auditor and recorder's office or the Board of Supervisors office by Thursday, March 19th, 2015 at 1 p.m. There being no further business to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned at 9:31. Thank you, everybody but Harold.
Just for the record, you kept begging, you wanted something. so I didn't
Paul
give us-
embargoed the roads concerning the colonial.
Yeah.
Get that noted. Especially if there's an oversized elbow in driving.